So which is better, the golden rule or the platinum rule?
I go with platinum.
Whichever one I can put on my car.
What's the platinum rule?
I don't know.
Do unto others as they would like to be treated. So,
I thought the platinum rule was don't love thy neighbor too much. Or am I the only one that watches How I Met Your Mother?
Yep.
I don't remember that one.
You changed channels on us on that one there, Sarah. That was
No, seriously, what the fuck
That's
is the
what I think
platinum
of
rule?
when I think of the platinum rule. It's basically don't shit where you eat.
Okay, that's not. For Fabio, the golden rule, do unto others as they would do, and the platinum rule is do unto other. Basically, treat others as they would like to be treated, rather than as you would like to be treated. So,
oh my God! There's another suck in the live chat that's of similar geniusness.
Is it G-Man's daddy?
No. Our leader Steve, and it's a picture of Steve as Kim Jong-un. Oh my God.
oh God.
The worst
I'm
one.
still a moderator in there. I'm not allowed laughing at this stuff. I'm gonna get kicked out.
The worst one that came to my channel was G-Man's abusive daddy. I shit you not. I
Oh
looked
my
at that
gosh.
and I said, somebody is so fucked up. I'm about to piss myself laughing. I had to ban him though. I had to ban him. Like, no, that's going a little bit too far. But it was funny. That just kills the conversation. That's too much. Too much.
Jesus Christ. All right, folks,
Too much
folks.
too soon.
So Cloudy, could you enumerate for us the platinum rule? Because I think I want the golden rule.
Right. Treat others as they wish to be treated.
That's the platinum?
That's the platinum.
But what if I don't want to treat
Like a
them
slight
that way?
up. Okay, well, they don't follow.
Okay, so I think that there's obviously values to both positions. For me, and this is an argument that Shannon and I have, a disagreement, not it's not an argument. We don't spend much time on this. From my perspective, the platinum rule is more useful to salespeople. You know what I mean? Trying to figure out what your customer wants and getting on board with that, and that way it'll facilitate sales and blah 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 blah. Because from my perspective, the golden rule is much more general than I think other people perceive it. Right? For me, the general rule is, treat others like I want to be treated. Well, I want to be treated with respect. Now, respect might be shown differently to different people under different circumstances. That might differ from how I want to be treated, how I interpret respectful treatment. So for me, it's covered. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to treat you differently, but it's all going to be born out of this respect that I'm expecting reciprocity from. That's how I want to be treated. That's how I'm going to treat you. So that's my take on it.
Platinum rule will never work. And I present you Exhibit A, Ned. Ned is a pilot. Ask him if all the pilots, if landing on an airport would work on the platinum rule.
No, I'm missing it, man. Why do you think it wouldn't?
So the tower control should act in such a way that, as if in a way that all the pilots would want, and not how you would want them to behave.
Right. Okay. So what you're saying is we're selfish assholes and we'd all want to land at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
What's funny is that actually, well,
listen, Ned,
you're right about the selfish
JFK
asshole part, but there are times when you're coming in that you've got a lot of shit to deal with, and because now you got time to catch up. So so at times I definitely don't want to be first in line. Especially if I got somebody that's faster behind me, because now I got to not only clean up all my shit, but do it a whole lot quicker than I want to.
Right.
Well, I think it's important to realize kind of why there is the platinum rule. I think it came up as kind of when the golden rule, there were some counters to it, like, treat others the way you would want to be treated. Well, what if I like something that they hate? Like, I don't know.
Well, no, if you're a pet,
right, but that's really not the best example because that's defined as something you don't want, but whatever. We'll use
Well,
it.
no.
Like, what if
JD.
you like to be raped? Should you rape people? Like, well, hold on. No.
It doesn't even have to be that dramatic, right? Like, what about like?
I'm trying to think of a common example. I couldn't think of one.
It's like, so think about Christians, right? Like they expect to be treated in a certain way, and I don't want to be treated that fucking way. And my version of the platinum rule is intend on. So I put a little escape hatch in there because I'm not always going to treat someone the way they want to be treated. So like Christians, some of them are used to being or expect to or appreciate being kind of shamed or held accountable for their sins and their bullshit that they do or say, right? I don't want anybody to hold me to those standards. So don't hold me to your bullshit God's standards. Like, no, get away from me. I don't want that. But they do. And I'm not going to treat them that way either. So I think both rules can fail in one fucking example. But I personally, for me, think it's more useful to intend on treating people the way they want to be treated and not be so arrogant as to think that the way I want to be treated is how everybody else wants to be treated. Unless we're talking about super generic things like I want people to be nice to me. I'll be nice to them. I would like it if people were, compassionate towards me. Like that stupid Mickey Mouse 101 morality level, kindergarten entry level.
You can detract it as Mickey Mouse all you want, but that's where the rubber hits the road. Those are the everyday interactions.
Oh God.
Yeah, well, that's actually a good point. That there are counter examples you can present to both where they both stop working, but they're really just supposed to be, for the majority of cases, if you're in doubt, if it's just a general thing going on. But either of those is gonna, if your goal is like to get along with the rest of the humanity, either of those, following those is probably gonna get you pretty far. If the majority,
I think a good hybrid between the two, like knowing when and knowing when not. I think that's. Like, I agree with
right.
And it's a good thing for a child to learn. It's a good thing for like a child to learn. Then they can argue stuff later.
I would argue that a well thought out application of the golden rule almost can be argued to cover the platinum rule, because I know that I would want someone to understand what I want and not just tell me what they want and assume that's what I want. I can see that in myself and know that I shouldn't just assume what I want is what they want, because I don't like it when people do that to me. So
right, but that's not how.
I mean, that requires some nuance and some application.
Right.
I think the issue with me is that if I want to be treated a particular way, that's based on my preference. I know that when I deal with people outside of me, they tend to want to be handled differently. So I try and give an example. I like scrutiny to some degree. I like harshness, and I expect that from people because I will give that. I know I can't do that with everyone. So I can't just alcohol. I can't just expect. I'm sorry. I'm looking at.
What just happened?
I'm trying to resist the
you
urge.
Have a fucking stroke?
Tourette's,
yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm thinking about alcohol, and I'm trying to keep my thoughts together. No, okay. So I'm not going to treat Jackie the same way I'm going to treat one of my army buddies. Like, right? I'm going to treat her with respect, but just because I want harsh criticism, I'm not going to give that to Jackie. Like that's not how we interact. That's not how she wants to be treated. Even though I may think that that's fair. Am I making sense with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to point out something that JD said in the side chat, because I don't think Chris is reading it, but I think that he'd really love to hear it. So I'm going to make sure that I enunciate. So JD said, it's good to start with gold. And once you have more information about the person's preferences, you switch to platinum. Also use platinum when you're already aware of what the preferences are, blah, blah, blah. I said, so what you're saying is the platinum rule is the more grown-up version. And he said, exactly, Shanna, you're brilliant. See?
I think my actual response was, no, that's close enough to it. Yeah, that's about right.
Except what you're overlooking, Shanna, is when you're dealing with someone like a William Lane Craig or a, let's say, Mr. Bell, that just wants to, for everyone to treat them as if they are the most intelligent and, whatever people.
So, like,
well,
I don't.
If your goal is getting along with Bell, that would work.
That's it. It's all about goal.
That, like, thinking that morality is as simple as one or two of these rules is retarded. Like, that's stupid. Like, so I'm a virtue ethicist, right? And at some point, my morality protects me. Like, fuck you guys. I'm not going to sit here and get treated like shit by some cunt-ass little bitch on the internet. No.
I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Not you guys. You guys are so great. Like, your morality is, it's way, our morality is way more complicated than intend on treating, or I want to do, I should, like, it's just way more than that.
Come on, there's only 600 rules, or 10 if you break it down.
Like, do unto others and turn the other cheek. This is how people get abused. People get, like,
except when God says, God gets pissed off and wants to have you commit mass genocide, then don't turn the other cheek, cut the baby out of the womb.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned earlier that this is really good for children, young children, as like a starter on morality. Like if they're as they're young and their brains are developing and they're getting into situations they don't quite understand what's going on, it's a great way to start. And then get like the higher understandings of morality later. But it's a great way to start with gold, move on to platinum, and then start talking about like more dense subjects once they're in high school. But
right.
The world is a far messier place than some codified set of rules could ever hope to capture, right?
Exactly.
Like
this works a lot, but not all the time.
In general, like if I want to tell the truth, right? Like in general, it's helpful to people. It's better for me to tell the truth. But there are some times where it's like, you know what? If someone comes and asks me, if I think someone's an idiot and it's in a professional context and I don't want to speak ill of them because, well, there might be some intervening factors, I'm going to hold my tongue and say, you know what, like, oh, we have differences of opinion or spin some bullshit. Life is a lot more complicated than thou shalt not lie,
Right. Exactly. Congratulations, you all passed.
The thing with the platinum rule is that eventually you have to decide that what the other people wants is in some way better of what you think you want. Now, that might apply for some people, but do we really want to apply that to everybody we know?
Well, hold on a second. Let's not get crazy. We're talking about rules of thumb, and we're also I think the way that I'm thinking about it is what is gained by developing from the golden rule to the platinum rule. Is the amount gained by developing up to or striving towards the platinum rule, if you're already in the golden rule, is that a distinction that makes a difference? Are you getting enough, whatever you want, out of the interaction by going platinum instead of gold, that it makes it worth it? I think that's how the question should be framed.
So for me, it makes a huge difference, and I can use work as an example. So my patients, when they come in, I treat them how they want to be treated. I don't treat them the way that I want to be treated. I don't treat them the way that I want to treat them. I treat them how they want to be treated because I need them to listen to me. I need them to trust me. I need them to accept that me and the doctor are an authority on this. And you have to get all that done in about 15 minutes. You got to gain their trust. You got to explain things to them. So you got to be able to read them quick and figure out because you can explain how tendons work to some people and they get it. And then you explain it to someone else and they're like, what's a tendon? Is that in my elbow? Like, they don't know what the fuck, they don't know anything. So like, I need to be able to read them quick and figure out how they want to be treated so they'll be receptive to taking on this new information.
But that reinforces, hold on a second, that reinforces my notion.
Right.
That it's more of a sales thing. So even though you're not in sales, you are in an exchange capacity, right, where you're dealing with patients instead of customers. So of course that fits perfectly the way that I started this. Yeah, you're using the platinum rule, and it fits perfectly.
Right. But I mean, it works like between you and I. Like I treat you how I think you want to be treated because I love you. And I want you to appreciate how I treat you. I don't want to treat you the way I want me treated. I want you to treat me the way I want to be treated.
Cool. So I like that. I like that distinction because it's case specific, right? So in intimate relationships, and this is new to me, and I'm thinking out loud right now. In intimate relationships, yeah, you want to definitely go beyond the golden rule towards the platinum rule. But does that make it the better general rule, right? Because I guess I'm making a distinction between pursuing an intimate relationship or commitment, that kind of interaction, as compared to a rule that you use in everyday interactions that are not that intimate version of a relationship. Does that make sense?
But I see it a little bit different. I see it as far as the golden rule as focusing on oneself, as far as I am the, I guess, standard by which I'm going to judge morality in action. Whereas the platinum rule is more based in an empathetic type focus on others.
Yeah.
So to
I
me,
think the golden rule's good for like a hot minute, and then it has to evolve quick.
exactly, yeah, because I think if you're focused internally, you're going to miss way too much. Now, don't get me wrong, you're still going to miss some, trying to focus on just empathy, but I do think it gets you farther.
So does that mean I win then?
You always win, Shannon.
Of course. So then the question becomes: didn't somebody coin a titanium rule or something that is along these lines, but is a step above the platinum rule? Might not be titanium. I might be making that part up. But is anyone familiar with what I'm talking about?
I'm sorry, Chris. Before you step to whatever other metal rule, because this is now getting ridiculous. No, I mean something that Ned said before. I agree with you, Ned, and I understand your point, and I think you get what Shanna is saying. I think there is a problem. The problem is that if you act with the golden rule, everybody has got some limitations. Okay, so depending on the people I have in front, the only thing I can totally rely on and understand is how much I would like to be treated. I cannot really understand how much he would like to be treated. And when I'm saying that, there is also a problem of possibilities. Like, for example, if I'm really poor, okay, and the other guy is really rich, the only thing I can relate to is, okay, I would like to be treated with a piece of bread, and I will give the guy a piece of bread. If I start thinking, he would like to be treated? Oh, he would like to be treated with caviar and champagne. This is something which is so beyond my possibilities that I might as well say, you know what, fuck it, I'm not doing anything. So if you got in that case, it's better to have the golden rule than an impossible platinum rule.
So maybe it ought to be the platinum rule, but the platinum rule to one's abilities.
So,
which is the golden rule?
No, not necessarily, because again, if my goals are different than yours, if I don't know, I think JD brought it up, is if I think rape is okay, and I think that violating your space, however, and especially along that line, is okay, and I value sex over your free will. Well, there's nothing. I can use the golden rule to rape you all day, and I'm still well within my bounds.
No,
Whereas,
listen, yeah, don't get me wrong. I don't want to get into a binary position, because when you get to binary things, it's always stupid. I get you. There are some nuances over there. What I'm just trying to say is that at least, and that might be shallow, but at least the golden rule is a good starting point. I agree with you, and I agree with Shannon that we should strive to get to the platinum rule, but it might get to some short circuits, where you basically black out and you say, fuck it, I can't do that, and I can. If I give him what I would really want, it would not be appreciated. So fuck it, I might as well do nothing, and which is worse than the golden rule.
well, but again, I don't think you'd be following either. I still don't think you'd be following the platinum by saying fuck it.
So
I think. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
So there's a few things. One, Maudie, to circle back around to what you were saying, there is something proposed after the platinum rule called the double platinum rule, and that one is like pure sales speak. It is anticipating what the person doesn't even realize they want you to do.
I love that.
Exceeding expectations.
I absolutely love it. Being able to read minds.
More or less, like
psychic ability, ESP,
or something to that effect. Arguably speaking, what they imply is that your goal is to exceed the expectations of the person, and I don't consider that to be a good rule for dictating day-to-day behavior, because we're not servants to each other. We're not naturally in that kind of a servant role where it should be expected of us to exceed everyone else's expectations of us in pleasing them. That's
That sounds like horseshit. Sounds like a
so
totally unrealistic expectation.
And I think that's something that needs to be maybe layered onto this, is that the golden rule and the platinum rule aren't meant to be the dictator of what you ought and ought not do, but kind of a guideline of sort of measuring your behavior. No one should. Oh, I'm sorry, Shanna. That actually would be me with the dog barking in the background.
Yeah, I couldn't tell which one it was, and I was like, oh, I'm going to take a gamble. She'll just unmute herself if I'm wrong.
Yeah, who's allergic to dogs.
Yeah, listen, Shanna, but if you apply the platinum rule, Scott wouldn't really want to mute himself, so you got to keep him unmuted and have the dog barking and, piss off everybody.
So I think that the golden and platinum rule are very useful in some interactions, but when it comes to decisions like that, I do what I want.
Yeah, I think it depends on.
Right.
Is there a Patreon? Our leader Steve asks, "Is there a Patreon rule?"
There
is a
Patreon.
Patreon
Learn
rule.
either of these in like a college course. This is just stuff you compare on college.
It's almost like they teach ethics and morality in college. Period of time. Because this shit gets complicated.
The edge case is brought up here. You're already so far beyond the scope of what you should be even using rules like this to decide.
Right, like with it, like I said before, like
whether or not you should rate
there's no
someone.
formula. There's
Golden
no
rule should not be where you start.
I mean, it gets complicated if we start thinking about in binary terms. That's what I was trying to to tell Ned the conversation we had before. I mean, I understand if it's an evolution of the golden rule, I'm fine with that. Mm-hmm. But if it would be really, to me, I think it would be really problematic to say if someone were to say, okay, listen, fuck the golden rule, I'm going to go with the platinum rule and platinum rule only. That, I think, is going to create way more problems than it's going to solve, because you might get into some, stuck between really hard places where you can't possibly, move yourself and you do nothing, which, in my opinion, again, it's worse than doing something.
It shouldn't be that rare that you attempt to apply the golden rule and the platinum rule and you come up with a I don't know. That shouldn't be that rare.
No, right.
So and that's fine, because these aren't supposed to be like the bedrock with which you make all decisions. These are like rules of thumb that are a good, like, when you're not sure, they're there to focus and give you a direction to be thinking in. It's not like this is how you must live your life the one and true holy way.
Right.
It's more of a guideline to.
Right.
Yeah, and Fabio,
I throw that out because I always think of Pirates of the Caribbean, and they're really abusing the notion of a guideline.
Yeah, and Fabio, I hope I must have, I don't know if I spoke wrong. I'm sorry. What I meant was I think that the platinum tends to. I was just trying to show where the focus was. Where gold seems internal and focused on me and my needs, whereas platinum seems external and focused on the needs of the others. Again, I think that they've got to be working hand in hand if you're going to actually have any kind of real morality. I don't think you can just, like you said, make a binary statement to where, we've got to go platinum all the time.
No, right. I mean, I wasn't actually disagreeing with you. I was reinforcing the concept that those kind of things cannot be applied in a binary mode. And the only reason I said that is because, apparently there are some weak minds that listen to our fucked up conversation and they might get the wrong idea. So I was just trying, to cover some bases there.
Oh, no, yes. Because, certainly there's no shortage of those people who are going to come in and try to, throw out these ridiculous edge cases that, oh, you see, these don't work at all. And it's like, dude, why?
Well, they're just wrong. So.
Yeah, but you see, if you were to apply the platinum rule towards those people, we shouldn't be talking, and we should only be convey our ideas with crayons and piece of paper. That's what we should do, because that.
God.
And sometimes the best way to treat someone is the way they're treating you.
Right. So
yeah. Sometimes.
That's got to be the steel rule right there. That,
I like it.
That's gonna be right.
Do unto others what they are doing unto you.
There's nothing flexible about that.
All right, Chris, next topic. We're done with that one. We figured it out. Let's go.
That was awesome. I mean, I was fumbling for my phone just to say, like, that was such a fun fucking conversation. And also the external chat contributors were kicking ass too.
Oh yeah, they've been like great today. Like a couple of them have had like just great, good chit chat, good ideas, funny jokes. Some not so funny because they're sadly very true.
Yeah.
So what do
We should call that the tungsten carbide rule. It's the paragon of materials.